Davidson. I'm a podcast host, producer, and coach, and I am so pleased to be on the Prosperity Show with Prosper Taruvinga. And you can just expect to find anything to do with podcasting and my journey through healing through love.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your premier destination for exclusive insights into personal development, business growth, and stories of resilience. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today I have a special guest for you. And she's not just a special guest for you, she's a special guest for me. I did this for myself. Now, Rose, how are you doing?
Well, Prosper, thank you so much for this opportunity. It is so lovely to see you again. It's been too long.
Absolutely, we shouldn't. I mean, that's the world we live in these days. If you just leave it for a day, it just keeps adding and adding. Before you know it, there's years in between. But I've been watching your stuff. I've been looking at you, and I've been really thankful for the journey that you're taking, not only for yourself, but for the people that you're actually helping. And we're going to be jumping into that and more. So I'm just really excited to have you on the show today.
Good to be here. Thank you so much.
Great stuff. For those that are just tuning in, you will notice Rose is a longtime friend and collaborator, companion, so to speak, of mine. We've been through so much. When I started my podcast, she was one of the first people to jump on. When she started her podcast, I was among the first people to jump on. She's gone on and created summits. She's gone on and created communities. I've also created a community, and she was really helping me behind the scenes. So it is a pleasure and an honor to have you back on the show. And as you are going to be noticing while you're listening to this, Rose is not just a podcasting guru or genius. She's also just a beacon of hope for many through the advocacy of her work, which I'm going to be talking about, which is healing through love. And as I've mentioned, together we've gone on many internet adventures, and today we're going to be diving into her inspiring story. There are some people in life that you come across, and unless they've told you what they're going through, you will never know. And Rose is one of those people. So if you are going to meet her on the internet or anywhere else, say hi, but also find out how she's actually doing. And I can't say much, because as I was reminiscing, Rose, about the time you actually convinced me to join your summit, little did I know I was going to be roped into a dance off to staying alive and things like that. Just your ability to blend professionalism with a touch of fun is unparalleled. So thank you so much for the work and the effort and everything that you have done along the journey that you've done. And your podcast is remarkable. You're a distinguished host, producer, and you literally are in the top 5% of podcasts globally. And for those that are wondering what the podcast is called, it's called Talking with the Experts. You should put that into your regular listening schedule. And so today we're going to be talking about your journey, what it is that you do, and how you are also spearheading, other people's well-being through your involvement with healing through heart. Now, Rose, I could go on and on, or maybe even start crying, because like I was saying, you are amongst the people that would have been the welcoming party to Australia and picked me up from the airport. And here we are today. How you been?
Yeah, I'm pretty well, Prosper. Thank you. Things that in my life on a personal level are a bit of a challenge, but the podcast is doing well, as you said, and I think I've just hit my 590th episode. So I'm nearly 600 episodes in after 4.5 years. So yeah, I'm really loving what I'm doing. I'm meeting some incredible people. And you were my very first guest back in 2020, so just after the pandemic started. So yeah, it's lovely to catch up with you, and I guess being in the top 5%, that surprised me when I went into to view how the podcast was going, and it said top 5%, and I thought, wow, how did I get there? Considering there aren't many subscribers to the YouTube channel, and people must be sharing because you don't reach that level of notoriety, I guess you could say, without some work behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. Not a lot of people go past the 12th episode. That's a stat that each and every one of us know. 500, that's a lot of effort. That's a lot of conversations. That's a lot of self-awareness, because if you know that this is the thing that I want to continuously do, it sort of really showcases to other people, and they also will enjoy being a guest on the show. Now, for those that don't quite know you, just maybe give us an overview of what you were doing before you became famous on with your podcast.
Became famous, yeah, I like that. Well, I first started out back in 2015 doing admin work online for female entrepreneurs, and if being female, we don't like to give up our control over the things that we do. So I found that wasn't very successful. And when the pandemic hit and lockdown started in March of 2020, I just had an epiphany. I thought, let's start a podcast. I'd heard of them. I'd never listened to one. And I thought, yeah, let's just start a podcast and help business owners, especially bricks and mortar businesses that were finding it challenging not to stay open. So I thought, let's get some online visitors and ones that are doing online businesses to give some guidance to these bricks and mortar businesses to find out how they could pivot to change the way they were doing stuff, and maybe offer an online component to their already thriving businesses. And that's how it started. And I just started the podcast with it, getting a few Facebook friends together, asking them did they want to be a guest. I must say the interviewing skills weren't very great at the time, but I didn't know anything about podcasting. I just started with a laptop and no other cameras or bells and whistles, and just my Facebook friends, and that's where it all began. And so nearly 600 episodes in, and I'm going strong.
Absolutely. Well, the fact that you asked me, and I was amongst the first people to raise my hand, neither did I know what that would be like. You know what I mean? That's one of those things that was happening during 2020. A lot of work was being done in the social media space, and nobody really cared about creating, long-lasting content for sure. Yes, maybe people were doing blogs, but podcasting was still, it was there already, but, not as prevalent as it is right now, because I've seen dogs and cats that now have a podcast themselves, but it just, it wasn't easy to do then. So when you jumped in, what were some of the hoops that you had to, you mentioned, the equipment and stuff, but what was it about podcasting that would have deterred a lot of people, but you championed through at that particular time?
The thought of starting, and when you first start, you don't realize the amount of time that you've got to set aside, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly or monthly, but you have to, set that time aside. And I didn't realize I was interviewing, I think it was 5 people a day, 5 days a week. So that was 25 interviews a week. And that was a lot. And I soon found myself being burnt out. So you need to set dedicated time to that. People think that the cost of the equipment is, that they need all these bells and whistles, and you see all these people setting up their YouTube studios with, microphones and soundproofing and other types of expensive equipment. They don't need that. They just need their laptop. They can use their phone. They don't need any special cameras or microphones or any of those things. They are things that you can purchase when you can afford to. You don't need to have them to start with. Other things, I did a lot of research online. So Google was my friend, in the beginning. But, there are places that you can go that people can actually coach and mentor you, as I do on my website. I offer coaching programs either online or one-to-one where I can help people through the process. So, and sometimes you need that, bit of an extra push, to keep you on track.
Absolutely. When you were talking about, all those fancy studios, I was just thinking, every time you go on YouTube, you see somebody with a green LED light, a blue LED light, and then they literally have to now have 4 different cameras just so you can see the studio in and of itself. Whereas if, like what we're doing right now, you're just in front of your computer, I'm in front of my computer, I'm in my office, and we just need to concentrate on the value that we're putting out there, not wanting to pay off the credit card with that would have paid that equipment and things of that nature. But for a lot of people, they're really caught up in perfectionism. All right. So I can only imagine if you were doing 5 interviews per day, being perfect, I don't think was part of the, obviously, yes, but it was not high on the list of things that you wanted to do. How did you sustain that, workload and just really being able to be there and be fully present for each interview? Because each interview is like really, you're knocking them all out of the park, but having to speak to 5 people, that's exhausting, Rose.
Yeah, that lasted for about a year, I think. I just couldn't do it any longer. But I only interview 2 days a week now, and I limit that to 3 days, 3 interviews per day. And to sustain a workload, you have to be dedicated, I think, and especially when you do everything yourself, because I do all the editing of my videos. I've learnt processes along the way. I've got, certain platforms that I like using. I've tried others, but I couldn't get the quality that I wanted. And I don't like them to be too professional looking, even though I'm a perfectionist. But, as long as they look nice, they sound nice, and sound is, the crucial part of a podcast, whether it's video or audio, the sound is crucial. People will forgive you for bad visuals, trust me. But you've got to have that dedicated time, and you just learn processes along the way, like I did. I didn't know anything about editing. I didn't know anything about editing audio or video. I taught myself. You can do that yourself, but it's always good if you haven't got that time to learn it yourself to get someone to do it for you.
Absolutely. It's not necessarily arriving at the goal, it's who you become, because like you say, you're getting all these skills and you're also backing yourself up, knowing and maybe surprising yourself sometimes, because if you then get back to listen back to some of the videos, you're like, oh, okay, was that me? And then have I really grown up to this level and things of that nature? But Rose, people that are probably watching this or listening to this are aspiring to become either a host or to become a guest on a podcast. Let's start off with the guest part, because that's a little bit easy. What are some of the things that you picked up on along the journey that you think are really good for somebody to adopt or become as a guest? Case in point, when we showed up to this call, we literally hugged over the internet. You gave me value, I gave you value, and it was just like, you get this, you get this, you get that. Do you know what I mean? And we could have just gone off without having done anything, but we're leaving with our cups full, both on either side. What are some of the things that a guest can actually do to make sure that the experience is amicable? Because if you've been doing 5 a day, you're gonna let somebody to show up, with some sort of emotional intelligence backed in.
Yeah, the worst thing is that people book a call and they don't show up. And I mean, that is so annoying, honestly. I mean, I've prepared for the interview, as a host, I've prepared for the interview, and then, you're waiting online for this person to show up and they don't. That is one of my pet hates. And I'll use that word hate because I really do hate it. I think it's rude. That they could at least send a message to say that they've been tied up or whatever. But anyway, that's neither here. But to be a great guest, you need to have great sound. You need to have great internet connection. Those two are a must-have. I think you've got to be able to be flexible in the conversation, depending on how the host decides to run the interview, whether they have set questions or whether it's just organic like I run mine. They need to be flexible in that, and they need to, obviously show up on time, prepared to discuss the topic that they've indicated that they're going to be talking about, and be knowledgeable and give value to the audience. That is really important.
Absolutely. I quite like that, because we are, in the end, paid in direct proportion to the value we bring to the marketplace. And if you just show up on a podcast and you're like, the guest is actually giving you answers in the comments, then it's one of those things that you won't be invited back to other podcasts. No. Now, that was the guest side of things. And what sort of advice do you have for people that are going to be a host for
processes? Prosper is the absolute necessity. When a guest makes a booking, then they have to fill out a form. I think that's really important, so that I, as a host, know what my guest is going to be discussing with me. And make sure that I'm sharing value with them. So I'm giving them, the steps, each step along the way, so they know exactly what to expect. So, what's going to happen during the interview, how long the interview is going to take, what type of interview it's going to be like, if it's going to be set questions or whether it's just going to be organic, what's going to happen after the interview, so what assets they'll receive afterwards, when it's going to be shared on social media. And as a host, it's important that you share that the episodes far and wide as far as you can, and equally as a guest as well, that the guest is prepared to share the episode with their networks. As a host, make sure that you've got a media release at the bottom of your form to make sure that you're allowed to use any assets that the guest will give you. So it's such as their photo or any voice recordings that they share with you. So there's a lot of processes in play when you are a host, and it's really up to the host to make sure that they have all those processes in place, and that they make their guest feel comfortable from the beginning. So I record from the get-go. So as soon as the guest comes on, we have a pre-chat. That's all recorded, only because I forget to press record a lot of times, and then we go through the interview and it's not been recorded. So that's just my process. And just make the guests feel as comfortable as possible, and just let them know that you're not going to be horrible to them, and that they feel that they can share with you whatever it is they want to share.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for opening that up, because so many people think their studio is going to do all the heavy lifting, but that's the least of the things that somebody is going to be looking at, so things of that nature. Has your podcast been in person or online mainly, and is there a difference?
Yeah, mine's online. Because I have a lot of guests from the US. That's my main guest pool. I do get some from England. I've had some from Norway and Germany and Spain and the Philippines and Indonesia and all those places. But yeah, it's online. I don't have the facility to do in-person ones, but in-person ones are obviously when the guest visits you on your premises and then you record the interview. I have thought about it, but where I live, I don't think that the guest pool would be that large. So yeah, I just prefer to do mine via Zoom.
Absolutely. And, especially when it comes to just being the person that's on either side of the camera, has there been any sort of insights that you, or maybe some sort of growth or things that you might want to share that has happened in the 600 episodes that you have managed to record?
Well, I had two Emmy Award-winning guests on. One was in the filmmaking space, and for the life of me, I can't think of what the other one was. But that was the more you are in this industry, and you're right, most people don't get past the first 12 episodes because they find it either too hard, or they lose interest, or they just don't have the time. But don't start a podcast if you're not going to be dedicated. That's my view on it. And, there's so much growth out of it. You become a better person, I think. You learn how to communicate better with others. And I've found that, I've met some incredible people along the way. And the connections I've made and the networking opportunities that are available as a podcast host far outweigh the time that you don't have to spend on it. I think you just persevere with it and just keep going, because it isn't as hard as what you think it is.
I think there's a statement that says, ask not what the world will give you, but ask what you will give of the world. And if you can give the world a treasure trove of value that people can listen to while they're going about their lives, I think you would have created something remarkable for whatever journey that you're sort of spearheading. And even though you were doing all this work, it didn't stop there. You were also physically involved with Healing Through Love. Maybe you can walk us through, what that is and how your involvement, sort of translates to what you're doing now.
Healing Through Love started in 2018, and 4 women got together and decided they wanted to help domestic and family violence survivors. So we decided we'd come up with a project and hold free pamper days for these survivors. We tried to make it an annual event. We have fallen a bit short the last couple of years, just because I'm one of the ladies involved lives in Adelaide. I live in Hobart, so it's a bit hard to get together and organise these days. So it's fallen down a little bit. But other than that, we've got a podcast as well. It's called the Healing Through Love podcast, where we offer value to domestic and family violence survivors through, giving hints and tips on how they can navigate their journey through the process of, leaving and bettering their life, I guess, whether it's through, meditation or finances, or, just learning to love yourself a little bit more. So we've now made ourselves into a social enterprise. We are now involved with a couple of organisations, and we've actually won an award just recently. We got notified of that last night of, how much our podcast and what we do, what we offer, has bettered the world. So we're really proud of that achievement.
Absolutely. And congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
Because some of the work that you're doing is even bigger than just the women involved. You are literally tackling world problems by some of the things that you're doing, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that you have, chosen to support. Now, what sort of work are you guys doing with this organization?
think just what we do in general supports those UN goals. I think that we try to maintain integrity throughout whatever it is that we do and what we offer. The people that attend our Pamper Days or through our podcast. So using those goals to just make sure that we are living up to a standard that would make the world a better place, I guess.
I can only imagine. Has there been any rewarding experiences with this journey healing through love? Because, like you said, you're bringing awareness, you're really helping other people feel seen and heard in a world that's seemingly has sort of shut them out or things of that nature.
Yeah, one of our Pamper Day events, we had a young lady attend. She had very short hair, would have been about maybe an inch long. We had a clothing display there where the guests could choose clothing, so for an interview or a court appearance or just something to wear because they didn't have anything. And this lady was staring at the clothing display, and my partner in Healing Through Love saw that this woman was feeling a little bit left out or feeling a bit lost. So she, took her over to get a hand massage, and she was asking her questions. And apparently that her perpetrator had not allowed her to make any decisions about the clothes that she wore or how long she could have her hair. He controlled everything. Apparently she couldn't even buy her own underwear. So he just controlled her that much. And because she wasn't allowed to have long hair, he kept it shaved all the time, and the inch long hair was as long as she'd had it in a long time. So to have that clothing display for her, she just felt totally overwhelmed because she could actually make a choice for herself. And at the Pamper Days, we have things like hairdressers and people offering beauty, beauty services, makeup, facials, all that sort of thing. So she went round all of the vendors for the day, and she got her hair coloured with a coloured spray, and she had makeup applied, and she had her facial done and massage and everything like that. And she just came out and she just looked absolutely beautiful, and we just cried because the change in her and was just amazing, and she was just so grateful for the opportunity that the Pamper Day had afforded her to feel normal and to feel seen and to feel heard and to feel loved. It was an incredible transformation for us, and it just made us feel so humbled that we could allow her to feel that way.
I can only imagine, because you're literally giving back somebody her dignity, her self-worth, and just how they view themselves and things of that nature. But you've already mentioned that you've combined these two loves of yours, podcasting and healing, through love. And I just can't wait to see how that's going to come through. But for people that are probably watching this and looking to see how else they could either increase their personal brand or grow in the way that you can help them, what would be the best way that people can get a hold of you there, Rose?
They can reach out to me on my website at rosedavidson.com.au, and on there you'll find a lot of articles that pertain to podcasting. You'll find my VIP programs, and I also offer a done-for-you service where if you want to do your recording, I'll do all the other behind-the-scenes things for you, because a lot of people don't have the skills or knowledge to do all the editing and get themselves hosted and all those other things. So I offer a service that does that. And so just go to the website and Healing Through Love. You can find that at healingthroughlove.com.au.
Absolutely. I'll put all those links in the show notes, and definitely, hopefully people will click on them and start their journey. And for those that are watching right now, as you can see, Rose's journey just teaches us the power of resilience and the impact of aligning one's career with personal values. And I think her ability to transform these challenges into platforms for change, it's just a testament to the strength of the human spirit. And I'm just glad, you know, I've known you and the work that you're doing, Rose. So thank you. But I might say as well, Rose, you know, some might start arguing that podcasting space is saturated. You know what I mean? Like we joked about earlier, everyone and their dog is starting a podcast because that seems to be the next thing. What sort of makes your approach unique, and obviously why should listeners then tune into some of your content now more than ever?
I think Talking with the Experts is a business podcast, and a lot of people are starting out in business, but you know, my audience ranges from startups right up to, you know, C-suite executives. So it's interesting to know that. Firstly, I've got to say that I've learnt a lot from because, you know, nearly 600 guests, and each brings their own perspective. So I think that if you want to be a great host, you do learn a lot, and you need to give, you need to be open, you need to be honest and authentic. I think is really important. So yeah, and I think that's what I bring to the table is honesty and authenticity.
Absolutely. And that you bring about in shovels and spades, you know, like a whole bag of it. Now that you've taken us into your world, we now know a little bit about, you know, your journey and things of that nature. What's next? What exciting project are you working on that we can rally behind that you've been working on lately?
Well, I've got an online business summit coming up in May. I've got 19 incredible speakers. Looking forward to that. I try and run one a year, but I'm thinking about doing 2 this year, just to get you know, people involved, and so that's really exciting. And the other is I'm writing a book, or I'm thinking of writing a book, taking all my past podcast episodes and getting each of my guests to give a little bit of insight into their businesses and into their world, and air their episodes, and you know, bring value to not only to the people that are going to participate in the book, but to a bigger, wider audience. So that's really exciting. I'm just looking for a publisher at the moment, and yeah, podcast guests are. You know, I'm looking for more to come on board so I can get started on it, because I'm itching to go.
Absolutely. And thinking that you've done over 600 episodes, that's not just one book. That could
No, it'll be several. There'll be a series, no doubt.
Could be a series of books and books upon books. So what this really showcases is, you know, even if you're creating the content right now, you can still repurpose it into other mediums, and those mediums can now become a lasting legacy there, Rose.
Absolutely. Yes, podcasting is, you know, there's more than one way to make yourself known and heard, and you know, get your personal brand out there, and have integrity while doing it.
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. I mean, your life story and your journey is just remarkable for anyone who's going to be thinking of either creating a business that's profitable and enjoyable, or just having a happier existence. I think there's so much for everyone there, whether you're in business, whether you're just a survivor just seeking hope, or somebody who's in need of inspiration. Your journey just offers all these valuable insights, and I just appreciate you for taking that journey yourself.
Thank you, Prosper. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's lovely to catch up with you again.
Absolutely. Now, for those that are watching, thank you so much for choosing the Online Prosperity Show as your spot for getting information like this. And if Rose's story resonated with you, consider exploring her Master the Art of Podcasting program so you can amplify your voice and make an impact. And while you're at it, remember to subscribe to her show, Talking with the Experts, and learn from the over 600 experts that she's managed to interview. so that, as we have concluded, that you have either a business that's profitable and enjoyable, or you have a happier existence. And while you're at it, maybe you can share this episode with somebody who could benefit from today's discussion. Until next time, stay prosperous and resilient. Bye for now.